everyone, how's it going? So I decided to make this video and kind of just share what it's like to live with ADHD and hopefully maybe give some pointers for family, friends, teachers, parents, things of that nature, and for those of you who may have ADHD yourself. So ADHD is like ADD, which is attention deficit disorder, but obviously there's an H in there, so it's attention deficit hyperness disorder. And the hyperness part is basically it's hard to sit still. Your body wants to move a lot or all the time. You can have, as a kid, a lot more energy than even kids who have a lot of energy. And so that's where the hyperness comes into effect, where as you get older, it's usually not necessarily like tons of energy, but more like the body doesn't want to sit still. So I was about 6 years old when I was diagnosed with ADHD, and at that time I got put on Ritalin. I hated taking pills at that point. So my mom would have to crush the pills up and put it in honey, and then a spoonful of, as old Mary Poppins thing goes, spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So that's exactly what I would do. And then I take one in the morning and then one in the afternoon. I can't remember if I took one in the evening or not. I can't remember that. Or maybe it was one in the morning and one late afternoon. When I was at school, I'd have to go to the nurses. So they kept two different supplies, one at home and one at the nurses. So growing up with it, you know, I was a pretty rambunctious kid. But in school, you know, my teachers would say it was hard for me to pay attention. I'm always looking around, you know, fiddling with stuff, picking my nails, my cuticles, all these different things, you know, that would lead to having ADHD. So even when I was on my medicine, I would still exhibit some of those, which you do, period, because it doesn't completely remove it. It just helps calm it down in a sense. I was really smart. I am really smart as a kid, and still think I'm really smart, whatever. However bad that sounds. So schoolwork wasn't necessarily difficult. It's just I didn't like to do school. School wasn't motivating in and of itself. You know, someone told me, oh, you gotta have to get good grades to get to school, go to college and stuff. Not interested in that whatsoever. So I can't remember when I switched to Dexedrine, but I think it was maybe when I was starting to be a teenager, where I went to Dexedrine and then I went to one a day for that extended release. So then I took one in the morning and then it lasted 12, 14 hours, 16 hours, whatever. And that was it. And then now I'm on Adderall XR 30 milligrams. Same thing, one in the morning, and then it lasts all the way through. Yeah, so I've been on some sort of ADHD medicine for over 30 years now. You know, so my entire life I've dealt with this, and even into my adulthood. And depending on how severe your case is, you're going to deal with it as an adult as well. What are the benefits of having ADHD? I think there are benefits and there are negatives. If there's any disease or mental disorder that I could choose to have, it'd probably be this one that I have, because once you learn to deal with it as a person with ADHD, and once you learn to tap into your strengths that it gives you, it does outweigh the negatives, and then you just learn to deal with that. One thing is most ADHD people are creative, or people with ADD. I can think of business ideas like water flowing through a tap, you know. I wish I would write some of them down. I just don't all the time. But to parents, teachers, friends, you know, siblings, if you hear, you know, the person with ADHD come up with an idea and they just tell you, and you think it's interesting, write it down for them, because they probably won't write it down themselves. And just kind of keep the list and give it to them sometime or whatever, maybe when they get older or different things, because we'll think of things and think about it for a little while and then we'll just move on. And so sometimes there may be some brilliant ideas in there. Hyper focus, once you get used to your medicine and how to tap into that, it's a good thing. Negatives, we are forgetful. Motivation can be a hard thing. For me, motivation is really a hard You know, like if someone were to say to me, Aaron, here's $1 million if you do X. Well, how long do I have to do X to get $1 million? And if I don't want to do X that long to get $1 million, I would just let $1 million go. You have to find, as a parent, as a friend, teacher, you have to find what the person with ADHD loves, and you have to tap into that. And my parents knew I loved playing games or video games, so they would always dangle that in front of me, saying, if you don't do this, then you can't play video games, and then I would get my stuff done. So you always have to go beyond sometimes the initial reason that normal people would accept to get something done. You have to dangle that extra carrot in front of an ADHD person, ADD person, to get them to do what, you know, what they need to do. I do want to talk about the medicine briefly, or not necessarily briefly, but I do want to talk about medicine for a minute here. A lot of people, or I know a lot of parents, I've heard it's some trend to try and fix this naturally. Depending on how severe a case it is. Like, I had a severe case of ADHD, so I'll be on medicine until the day I die. And most people, a lot of ADD or ADHD people, have it into their adulthood. You can try the natural things, but they only work to an extent. And if the case is more than just a light case of it, you're really depriving your child of a full life growing up. And as an adult, you're depriving yourself of a fulfilled full life. And I know people are like, well, you know, medicine, there's negatives. There is negatives, but you learn to deal with those negatives and you just do it. And as a parent, I think really if you're stuck on this natural thing, just take a couple steps back, try to imagine what is going on with your kid, in your kid's mind and his body, and just think of a day that you felt so drowsy and so just out of sorts. You knew you had all this stuff to do, and all this stuff is floating in your head to do, but you can't figure out which one to do first. And you start one thing, and you say, that doesn't feel like it, and you go to another one, and that's not working out, and you're just frustrated in your head. Imagine that day for a normal person. That is what it is for a person with ADHD every day outside of the medicine. If all these things are in our head, all these things we know we need to do, all the things we know we want to do, and all the things we know we can do good at, but we can't put that all naturally in focus because of chemical imbalance. Medicine helps that imbalance. So that's just my suggestion. I will help medicine till ever, because for at least this disease or medical condition, it is something that is needed. Now with the medicine, if I know a lot of people say stomach hurts or I don't feel like eating, you know, or different things like that, just continue to take it. Always eat before you take your medicine. No matter if you take multiple times, make sure you eat before medicine. And if you don't feel like eating, still know what about times that you need to eat, you eat. Like, I can forget if I'm playing on the computer, if I'm doing something that I'm focused in on, I can forget to eat. And my body won't tell me I need to eat until my energy goes kaput, and then I really need to eat. So, as an ADHD person, or parents, friends, whatever, just help them remember to eat. And ADHD person, always eat before you take your medicine. If you take your medicine before you eat, it's going to control your body, and then you're just going to have I've done it a few times, and it just takes over. I get really hungry at night. You won't eat as much as normal people at a sitting. You can always eat during the day. This is for more people with ADHD, because our metabolism, like, I can eat anything I want, literally. And, you know, I do Ninja Warrior stuff, and friends at the gym are like, how can you eat this stuff? Because I'll tell them sometimes, I eat a Klondike bar each night before I go to bed. Literally 10 minutes before I go to bed. I eat a nice 13 grams full of saturated fat Klondike bar every night. And my friends are like, how in the world can you do that? Well, because I'm a freak, because my body's metabolism is going so fast, and it just burns things up. And I actually need to eat more fat than normal stuff, because otherwise it just sheds it more than normal. I want to talk about systems real quick too. I don't think I'm going to be able to get everything in on this video, so I'll probably be a part 1, part 2. I'm sorry, this video is kind of jumpy around. That's what happens with us ADHD people, ADD people. But to keep organized as best you can, I'm a disorganized person. I have messes everywhere. Not dirty, messes. My desk is a mess, but I can find things in my mess. You know, I will try and like pick a thing up and I'll say, okay, I'm going to put all my tools in here. And when I go get my tools, I'm going to pick them up and bring them back, everything else. Well, I'll forget to bring my tool back and I'll just lay it where it was. Well, I remember where I laid it. But then if I go and I say, oh man, I'm bringing my tools back, so that I pick my tools up and I put them in the proper place, I won't remember that I put them in the proper place. When I need the tool, I'll then go to the place where I thought I put it and get frustrated because I forgot that I put it back in its proper spot. So try to develop or help a person with ADHD or yourself if you have it, just system that you work within. Things that you know could trigger things you need to get done, or just this is how I do this is how I do this, so I remember to do this, so I remember to do that. And don't deviate much from that. If you're messy and disorganized, just try and clean it up the best you can. Embrace your disorganization. You know you can be organized in a mess. You know, understand what I'm saying. So I didn't really go too much in detail about like my personal experiences with ADHD. I covered couple points on negatives and how to deal with that. So, but I'll be making another video for this. So if anyone has any questions or comments they'd like me to comment on about this, like I said, I've had this my entire life. I've dealt with this, good, bad, and the ugly. So I'm an open book in that sense of how to maybe a parent needs to know how to motivate a kid on something, or whether how much medicine they should be taking. That's something that really needs to go with your doctor, and you really need to test it out sometimes. And it's important if you're not feeling that your medicine, if you're still feeling unmotivated or just a little wacky, for lack of a better term, you may have to up the dosage. Or if a parent can notice if the kid's still not what they should be, you know, then you might have to up the dosage a little bit. You don't want to become like completely docile, because at times I've taken, like, there's a thing, a big event at our house, you know, all these people are coming over, and so I wanted to be extra good that night, so I took an extra pill. Well, it downed me where I was just not lethargic or anything. I was fully conscious, fully everything, but it killed any motivation in that sense. So you don't want to overboard either and become like a walking zombie, which can happen if you take too much medicine. So if you like what you heard, please like, share, subscribe. I appreciate that. And like I said, I'll be making another series on this, or some more videos. And I'll watch this one over and figure out what else I need to cover in the videos up to come. This is Savvy Ninja, and until next time, I will leave you with this.